So the time's for questions. Yes, madam.
Veronica Popeye of Ortiz. I wanted to ask and somehow connect the last two presentations. We are considering DIY plant altering as a reality. This presentation was only about lab-used animals. How about farm animals? What's our position on that? I mean, have we considered? How do we see that? Thank you.
As I told before, I'm not specialist on animals, but from the research point of view, what I can say is that in the Commission, when we face the research using the animals, the farm animals, for example, well, they are covered by the same directive, so we pay the same kind of attention. And what will that bring us is something that we should discuss here. So I don't have a real answer to give.
Filipa, thank you for what you just presented. I mean, you're totally right what you said. I mean, we have to take into account the farm animals and the livestock, and we have to involve. And there are other people that couldn't make it to this meeting, but they are already alerted and they are following these activities of the ARRIGE group. And definitely a lot is happening in the livestock. There's a number of genome-edited sheep, cows, and pigs, especially pigs, that are already appearing in the academia, and eventually some of them that might be finding their path into the into commercial, into the industry, so definitely this is something that will be happening clearly.
Madam, yes.
My name is Patrizia Costa from Italy, and regarding the farm animals, I believe that the big issue is the safety of consumer that we have to follow, and can be one of the fields that can interfere also with the environmental impact, so the containment of the animal. The first phase is the research on the animals. What I am expecting in the future, this next future, is that probably the number of the animals that will be used will increase for this technology, because it is easily accessed, and also the people that will use the animals, the category of scientists that will use this this kind of technology will be more. And so an important aspect is the education and training of people that I believe that we have to take care of this, because for the unexpected phenotype of the animals, and so it's important information that we have to collect. And all the welfare-related issue, the animals, the containment, if there will be the use of germline, clearly, and all the related also impact on the environment. So this is all, I believe, that we have to take in account.
Sir, yes, and after Madam.
Thank you very much. Akimade Inka from Gabon. I have one question regarding the link between the three issues which has been presented. For me, I don't see how we can separate them. We come from human issue, environmental issue, and the animal issue. Somehow they are connected. Are there any possibility to summarize how we can take it as a global issue? And the second question is, maybe I miss it, is gene driving. The gene drive, are there any discussion regarding gene drive, for instance, from at the European Research Committee to see how it's regulated, for instance?
Yes, regarding just your first question, because it's about the organization of the event, I think you raise a very important point, that those issues somehow are interconnected. It's just the reasons why we separated for today's issues is because sometimes when we talk about genome editing issues in today's society, conversations tend to lead only to speak about the human aspects. And we wanted to make sure that all aspects are covered, and to say that ARRIGE aims at thinking about what will happen for environments and for animals and the other subjects we haven't talked yet. So just at the matter of organization, but yes, you're right. And on the second part of your question, I will let Filipa or anyone who wants to comment on that. Thank you.
The second part of your question, if I understood it well, I'm not sure. You were speaking about gene driving questions and how do we tackle that in research in ERC. And in fact, we, in ERC, as in the rest of the European Commission, we tackle the questions, the ethics questions raised by the research following the legal instruments we have to do that discussion. So we have some directives about the use of animals, if it is not animals but humans, or if it is genetic studies. We have some other instruments and we follow it with the help of that legal instruments. Now, what I think that should be the discussion about the genome editing is maybe a bit bigger than that, because we cannot only, as it was discussed this morning, we should not stay only in the discussion of risks and benefits. We should go to the central question. Are we changing the human nature, yes or no? Do you want to do that change, yes or no? And again, there's another thing that I think very, very important, is that the only way to have this debate in a positive or with a positive outcome is including not only the scientists, but also the rest of the society. So again, is the question of explaining what is being done, to be transparent in the dialogue and to include the rest of the people in this dialogue too. So if this answers your question.
Can I take a swing at this question of what connects the three sets of considerations? I mean, I agree with you, and I think you're following that thread a little bit. There was a discussion this morning about asymmetry of knowledges, and along with that goes a kind of asymmetry of power, and it's kind of been haunting the discussions throughout the afternoon. This supposition that those who know what's going on within the research somehow have a sort of privileged and an important form of knowledge that others need to have a kind of controlled access to. I think we need to kind of step outside that. And when you step outside this kind of narrow construction of what is involved in thinking about risk, you understand that actually there are different asymmetries of different kinds of knowledges that are at stake. And scientists have a lot in terms of how they're pursuing their practice to learn from the kinds of knowledge that other people can bring to it. And one of the really good examples, I think, is within the context of farmed animals. And I'll just take one example because it's something that's been achieved through genome editing, this notion of polled cattle, i.e. breeding cattle without horns, which helps them to be kept in more confined environments with other cattle because it reduces the incidence of injury. Now, you might think that's a good thing from the point of view of animal welfare, or you might think it's not. But in order to answer that question, you're immediately raising questions about what kind of food production process you want within your society. And this is why I raised when I was speaking this question about how I think the problematic, you've got to broaden that sort of question out, but the problematic thing then is what the scope or the horizon of that discussion is, given that these things spill out beyond individual jurisdictions, individual societies. They're out with the control of any kind of constituted community in that way. So putting together kind of disciplined knowledges and, if you like, kind of gathered knowledges in that way, and understanding that there are different asymmetries in place, I think is really important. Thank you.
My name is Barbara Livouret. I belong to the Foundation for Research on Biodiversity. I'm also part of the French delegation that attends the negotiation at the Convention for Biological Diversity, where biotechs are covered within the CBD and negotiations in Cartagena and Nagoya. I'm really happy about the way the discussion is going forward right now, because I would like to even enlarge it even more. There was at the last Convention of Parties in Mexico in last December 2017 a very interesting exercise. I think it was conducted by someone from Norway, but I wouldn't bet on that. I could find that again. And she was asking the attendants, does it make a difference for you? What is the difference between the value of a wild animal and a genetically altered or genetically modified animal? And the people were asked to spread in the room. And it was very interesting because people were making a difference. They were giving less value to a genetically modified organism, animal, compared to a so-called natural animal. And I would love this panel to take that into account, because we are talking about ethics, and I think you will heard about animal rights as well as human rights. So it would be brilliant. Thank you.
Only a very small comment. In fact, it is really curious and very important, but when speaking with the people implementing these animal directives, one of the questions they repeated a lot is that all the animals that are being produced are as animals as the other animals. So they should be protected exactly in the same way. And this is something that is very important if we go to the public discussion, to the social debate about the involvement of animals in research.
Yeah, just a quick comment regarding ARRIGE functioning. I think Hakim raised a good point. We shouldn't work in silos. Animals is the food that we're eating, environment is the air we're breathing, and everything is linked together in terms of human health. So that is good to remind that. And just a small comment to Filipa. I'm not sure that social scientists will not come to you with CRISPR analysis, technology analysis, but that's something else.